Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first ever meeting, I think, in the history of the 100 and something years we've been together, 106 now, I guess. We're starting at 6 o'clock for our council meeting, so good evening, everyone. We have, first up, where are we here? We are into minutes, and I'll ask for Alderman Haig, if you wouldn't mind, in Alderman Hunter's absence to make a motion, please. 4.1.
So the minutes move to receive the minutes of the regular meeting of November 2nd, 2015, organizational meeting of October 26, 2015, and the special meeting of October 26.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All those in favor? It is unanimous. And 4.2, Deputy Mayor Ballack, please.
Thank you, through the Chair. I'd like to make the motion that we recognize the Municipal Library Board of May 27th, June 30th, and July 13th, 2015.
Sharon, before I move, call a roll call on the motion, do I have the right resolution assignments? Maybe this is the wrong sheet. Well, we have an updated version. Okay. So I apologize, Alderman Coulson. We're going to move on. Deputy Mayor Bullock's motion is there. 4.2. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We're moving on to the consent agenda. Item 5 is the, 5.1 is the third quarter capital projects. 5.2 is the third quarter budget update. And 5.3 is the awards. And I know this is probably a regular, but I would like to see 5.3 moved on to the agenda. Anybody else? Sorry, Alderman Haig. Nope. Oh, your light's on. I apologize. You've got a Alderman Burley syndrome. So I'd like to see 5.3. And Sharon, where do you want to see that on the agenda? At 6 point where?
The questions for that would immediately follow the resolution to accept the consent agenda. Good.
Thank you very much. All those, Deputy or Alderman Coulson. Tough night.
Motion to accept the consent agenda minus 5.3, the 2015 awards the city has received.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So all those in favor? It's unanimous. And we'll call upon Mr. Schultz. And if it's all right, I think this is obviously a very proud for the city manager, but it's also very proud information for council, and we'd like to share it with the public. So I know we're not supposed to talk about and have a Q&A on this, but I would really appreciate a presentation, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Schultz. Thank you.
Through the chair, for once, through your worship, for once, I feel great being set up. If I may, in fact, it is a time of pride, and before us here you can see scattered little monuments, and some are laying flat, but it's I guess a little bit of an opportunity publicly to show to the public that 2015 was another successful year in terms of recognition for the city of Airdrie. And really a reflection, I like to say both, of course, a lot of staff recognition here, but that doesn't come without the work of council and their direction and the priorities they set me down. So we just wanted to take this opportunity and myself as, I guess, leader of the staff to celebrate these successes with council. And I'll just briefly, it's in your reports, but just for the public, we have this year corporate communications, and an advisor, Jill Iverson, in our department won the Gold Quill Award of Excellence for the International Association of Business Communicators. And along with that also comes a Silver Leaf Award of Excellence from the Canadian chapter. And this was for work on the city's curbside organics recycling program and the development and execution of a communication strategy to that end. So congratulations to them. We also, through our IT department, have Derek Antosh, who's a website developer, Jesse Burton, who's a web developer, and Rosalind Wood, project manager, were awarded with the Municipal Showcase Award for the My Airdrie project at their 25 MISA, and don't ask me what that stands for. Municipal Information Systems is for my Airdrie, and another opportunity for us to showcase that really great initiative. In procurement, and this year we won the 2015 Achievement of Excellence in Procurement Award, and that was from the National Procurement Institute, and a conference held November 3rd, 2015. And this is awarded to recognize organizational excellence in public procurement, and it's awarded annually. And this award is given to organizations that demonstrate their excellence by obtaining high scores on standardized criteria that include measuring innovation, professionalism, productivity, e-procurement, and leadership in their attributes as the organization. Now also, and specifically, Kathleen Moretti, who is our leader of Fleet Accounts Payable and Procurement, was awarded with the Spirit of Hadfield Award, and I had to ask, and it is Chris Hadfield, at the National Institute of Governmental Purchasing Conference in Kansas this year. Moving right along with Innovation Award presented to us July 2015 by the Alberta Plastics Recycling Association, and that was for our efforts in recycling expanded polystyrene. And the City of Airdrie did run this pilot, as Council's aware, in 2014, just to test our ability to accept polystyrene at our Eastside Recycle Depot. And the final two are on the financial end, and we again won this year, 8th year in a row. City of Airdrie Financial Services Department was awarded the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the 2015 year. And this award is the highest you can get in governmental budgeting, and is presented to governments who have budgets are judged and adhere to program standards. And we review these each year and keep trying to keep up to that standard and make improvements as we get feedback. Financial Services was also awarded for their fiscal year 2014 the Canadian Award for Financial Reporting. And again, this marks the 8th year for this award. And I just say, along with the other one, these financial awards, I think, lend an assurance to the fact that external reporting to our customers, our citizens, remains very clear, complete, and transparent. I guess to wrap up, I've said a mouthful. You have it in your report. I guess as the CAO, the biggest thing is I'm just very proud of the individuals who make up the staff here and make me look good, make the city a top-notch organization, and I would ask with pride that you accept the report for information.
Well done, Mr. Schultz. I didn't think you could present, so I'm very proud of you for doing that. And I thought the Hatfield and McCoy was the award. I wasn't sure. Sorry, Kathleen, I couldn't help it. Anyway, on behalf of myself and council, obviously we're really proud of this organization and all the great things they accomplish. And it is individual awards a lot of times, but I think it's driven by our city manager and all of his leaders and the directors, and it funnels down. And it's great that our organization can have people that are out pushing the boundaries and making things happen. So we're obviously very proud of what you guys have accomplished, and looking forward to seeing more in Lucy's string of 9 years in a row. I don't know. It's going to be tough. Anyway.
If I can make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna make a motion here. For you. Alderman Coulson, go ahead.
Just to move to accept item 5.3 for information.
Apologize. All those in favor? I'm on a mission to get out early. Is that right? I apologize. Okay, so 6.1, we're hoping that they're going to come a little sooner than 7. But in the interim, we will go to Alderman Chapman for introductions, please.
Your Worship, are we moving on to the Eco Art Award then, I'm assuming? Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. If I could invite Mara up to speak to us about the Eco Art Award presentation, please. Oh, Mara and Kathleen.
So good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. I am here this evening to present the awards to the winners of the 2015 Eco Art Awards, but they're not here, which is generously sponsored by Vitreous Glass and with support from 4 Cats Studio and Creative Airdrie. Complementing Art Timber, the Eco Art Awards program was developed jointly in 2013 by staff from Waste and Recycling Services, Community Development, and Sustainability to showcase both the creativity of local artists and bring attention to waste and recycling in Airdrie. At the end of the summer, local artists submitted proposals explaining the piece they wanted to create made of recycled materials that drew attention to environmental issues, concerns, or solutions. Of those submissions, 5 were chosen to build their creations, which were then displayed at various events and venues during Creative Airdrie's Art Timber. At each venue, residents stopped and cast their votes for their favorite submission. Tonight, we invited all 5 finalists to the Eco Art Award presentation, and we would like to give honorable mention to Crystal and Jasmine McKenzie and Trudy Pratt and thank them for their submissions. I'd like to thank Pat Cashin and Darcy Forbes of Vitreous Glass for sponsoring this program, and they were unavailable to present this evening. Noticing that they're still not here, I'll just kind of highlight their work. This piece that we see here is third placed an artist, which will receive $200. It's created from items in her green organics bin. Sarah Kirstoffi squished her organics items onto printmaking paper. She was wanting to draw attention to the materials we place in the Airdrie Organics program and make something appealing rather than smelly and disgusting. So thank you, Sarah, for your submission and congratulations. And she's not here. Second place, artist will receive $300 using every piece of her barbecue. Brenna Miller was 2014's third place winner. She created this dinosaur titled Torque. Brenna, still not here. Congratulations and thank you. And then finally, our first place winner will receive $500. And using the waste from lunch, Kalen Young created 2 monsters. He wanted to bring attention to the amount of waste we create by the choices we make. In this case, what he chose to eat for lunch. So thank you, Kalen, for the submission and congratulations. I won't ask for a picture or something like that, but for information. Good.
Is this your first time presenting, Mara? I don't. Is it? Welcome. Are you excited? You look like you're excited. I love the way you look back to the crowd and no one's there. I thought the barbecue was Dynacue. That wasn't the nickname. I thought that was really kind of a cool thing. But yeah, no, congratulations. And your energy and enthusiasm as it relates to waste, Paul and I found out very clearly the other day, it's quite infectious. So really appreciate your expertise on board and all the things you bring to the table, because your passion for green is pretty cool. So it's unfortunate no one's here. Did they know it was a 6 o'clock start? I don't want to get you in trouble, anybody over there, but they were okay. All right, well, thank you very much. Any questions, comments from Alderman Chapman?
No, Your Worship, that was my question. Just they were aware that it was a 6 o'clock start. I just want to confirm that.
Okay, and you have a motion, sir.
I do. Just one. I don't know, Mara. She has a real unique way of, I guess, recycling apples off her apple tree too, that I'm aware of, that I think is just great. But
we should have her explain it, because we're trying to stall for time.
I think it's fine. No,
you sure?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
We've got Habitat and it's 45 minutes to go.
Yeah,
so
Parks is here, so maybe we won't.
Mara, is it quick? Please tell us how you recycle your apples.
No.
Whenever you're ready.
You don't have to, Mara.
Can I defer?
Would you like to elaborate?
No,
the media is standing
fine.
at the edge of their chair over here.
We
this
both,
could be the headline in the newspapers.
We both sort of
lead story tomorrow morning on Air 106.
I'm just teasing Mara, because we've had some great conversations. She is very energetic. With that being said, I'd love to accept this for information.
Excellent. And we're extremely proud of all the participants and people who put in their possible winning artist renderings of recycled materials. A lot of them, it was a tough choice. I know when I got to vote over at, I think we voted at the park. So, yeah, congratulations to everybody, and certainly they're great. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mara. Thank you. We're at public question period, and I see two members of the public here. So if either of you gentlemen would like to come forward, you're more than welcome to come forward and ask any question. Actually, you may have a question, Kevin, because as it related to your letter, if you want to ask that question of council, it's up to you with regards to YYC. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Kevin Miles. I live in Meadowbrook. I don't know if it's so much as a question, Your Honor, but I know last couple meetings ago, CAA was here, and during that time, they made some commitments, and I believe, Your Honor, you asked them to get back to myself and council with regards to the letter that I had forwarded. And just for your information, they have not done so, and nor have they gotten back to myself regarding information I sent in the online form. I know, Your Honor, I'm pretty cynical about this. I don't think they have any intention of listening to our concerns. I have recently, though, started taking decimal readings. I've got a hold of a decibel tester or a reading meter, and it's shocking, some of the noise going over Meadowbrook especially. You know, CAA has told us that in their own reports that the readings going over Airdrie are less than 85 decibels. With my bedroom window closed, I'm hitting 94. And that's with my window closed. I can imagine if it was warmer out, I imagine that reading is going to be about 30% higher, because they claim that it's 30% lower with windows closed. So I know council doesn't have any authority over the airport authority, and I appreciate everything you've done with regards to contacting them. I just think as citizens of Airdrie, we've got to keep pushing them to, alter some of their behaviors. I've read some stuff, and it was in my letter to council regarding, changing their level of dissent, and I'd be curious to see if they have any intention of doing any of this. The other thing is that, with this international airport opening, or the international terminal opening next year, it's going to be interesting to see how many more planes are flying over, and they're going to be bigger planes. Planes that are going to be hopefully equipped like they are in Europe, because they'll be coming from those areas, and hopefully they'll be equipped with some sound suppressors on their airplanes, which will stop this. So I just want to let you know that, and I appreciate the time all of you have taken, especially Your Honor, for contacting the Calgary Airport Authority and having them come and present. Thank you.
Excellent, Kevin. And council's really aware of your letter. It was an excellent letter, very detailed.
Okay.
So I sent Jody an email and the Vice President at the Airport Authority that they have not responded. They committed to doing that here. So I'm hoping once I get an answer back from her, I've asked specifically for a time frame. And as far as the sound attenuation equipment, I believe we have somebody from planning. I'm not sure which planner is attending those. Phyllis is, I think. And I think they have a monthly meeting, and they did set up at Walmart, which I don't quite understand. I don't see a lot of planes flying over Walmart, but apparently we could be able to move that equipment over to the east side, and that was the commitment they made to us when we met them probably 2 weeks before they came to council, was they would set something up within the next 3 to 6 months.
Well, there is...
And there's over 100 new stalls for aircraft in the new terminal. So it definitely, if people don't think it's going to get busier, they're not thinking clearly.
I think we all understand planes have to fly somewhere, and we're in direct line with the runway. I get that, but there's things they can do. It's been done in Europe. I'm sure they can do it here. I noticed, and I was going to ask council if they had placed a device in the green space along Yankee Valley. and behind the homes in Meadowbrook. There's something was placed there, and I don't know what it is. I went and looked at it the other day.
It's sound equipment?
I'm not sure what it is. It's something's been placed there outside the fence of someone's house in a green space.
If you can provide the location, we can certainly look into it.
Yeah, I can take a picture of it. But if not, that would be an ideal place. Now, I don't know how that works with the city putting these things in or what has to be done, but that is right in line with Meadowbrook and certainly all the new homes that are coming online in that area. And it might be an area to put it.
Just approved Lanark Phase 1, so
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly. Well, I was here
Yep.
for that, and,
Okay.
I'm sure we're going to be hearing complaints about that, so.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Miles. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Your worship, could I just?
Yes, absolutely.
I was just curious, Mr. Miles, where did you get your decimal meter from? I'm just, was it one that you've picked up, or I would curious where a person could find one?
I looked at them online, and I was going to buy one, and they're $5,400.
Yeah.
So I didn't. You can actually get an app for it. So you can get an app on your phone, and it works. I'm not sure how they're calibrated, but you can get an app right on your phone. There's got to be 30 or 40 of them. Some you pay for, some you don't. I'd be curious to find out how accurate it is, but
That would be
that
my
would be the thing, the calibration.
That'd be my
right?
curiosity too, is how accurate that is compared to
accurate.
an actual decibel meter. I'm not sure, so.
Yeah, and that's why I was, I would chart, and there's lots of them that show little graphs. I would chart it and then compare it to, it'd be nice to be able to compare it to some actual data to see how close it is. But again, it's a phone app, so.
And then also with that, Your Worship, did we not, as a city, buy a meter a few years ago for vehicles?
I believe so. Mark can confirm that, I hope. Thank you, Mark.
Through the chair, yes, municipal enforcement does have devices at their disposal. I think it can be calibrated for anything, but that would be something that staff would be able to answer.
Your Worship, I'd like to find out if that meter that we have can be used to actually record that at, certain times of day, if it does take maybe a staff member to sit and monitor it for a peak time of flyover, what the readings on our meter, which I'm assuming would be an approved meter, or just to confirm.
And through the chair, yeah, I think when we used to do the traffic analysis, it's based on a 24-hour period of time that you need the actual readings to occur, and then it averages over that 24. But I can check with municipal enforcement and see if we have that capability.
I'd appreciate that, Your Worship.
Sharon, do we need to make a motion? Or are we comfortable?
Your Worship, I think you do not need a motion unless you were directing staff to do something specifically with that. My understanding is at this point you're trying to find out if we actually have one that will work.
Well, I think if it does work, I think Alderman Chapman's asking staff to look into actually using our equipment for that purpose.
If there's
Unless I
something that we could,
misunderstood you.
yeah, no, if there's something that we could do, just,
Or are you going to come back and let us know and then we would move then?
if you could, that would be fine with me. If we get some information on that machine,
Through the chair, sure, we could. Is it possible just to even do that through an email?
that would be fine with me, yes. Yep.
Yep, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just so council knows, I don't sleep anymore because of the planes, so I will volunteer to sit in my roof with this thing if you
Actually,
want.
we're planning to put the equipment and the officer in your bedroom, so I wouldn't worry about.
You know what, they'd be
thing.
more than welcome to.
Thank you again,
And
Kevin.
I'd also like to mention, Peter, you're rocking that mustache there. I like that.
It's Movember, that's all I can tell you.
Yes,
It's coming
yes.
off very soon.
Thank you.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, yes. Okay, and I see no other, well, we have a new person showing up. If she would like to come forward and ask any question of council, but I don't think so. She's nodding her head. So we're moving on to item 8, which is public hearings, which we do not have. We also are doing 9, which would be bylaws 9.1.A, and introductions would be Alderman Chapman, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I could invite Pretty to come forward and speak to us about building permit fees, please.
There we go. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Building Inspections is here to present some modifications and changes to our building permit fee bylaw. From some research that we've done, we've found that a lot of the builders out there are having an issue with some of the processes they have to go to get new permits. And so we've proposed that we go to a single permit fee bylaw to improve the customer's ability to budget for their permit costs. That's one of the key things that they let us know was important. Include all disciplines and additional permits, which would be temporary heat, post, and pad and lighting, which is oftentimes included in their permits, but they have to put them in separate when they apply for those permits. And this should reduce the time-consuming permit fee calculations that are involved in actually putting the permit in, reduce any errors that we have to send back to them to correct, and turnaround times for applications. There will be online benefits as we move towards an online process, which isn't in effect yet with the single permit fee structure. So it'll be a lot easier and simpler for them to actually apply for them online. So it creates a foundation for an online service. It will improve the customer experience with the online application and collaborate and enhance the City of Airdrie's current application process. One of the customer service goals is to actually improve data flow between the City of Airdrie and the customer. This will also improve the data integrity that we are responsible for as we obtain the information from the customer, and simplify verification process on the permits, the customer, and staff. So currently, when they're doing the permits, of course, if you take one or two subcategories out of any of those fields, they end up losing some time trying to figure out which ones they want to add and which ones they want to take away from. So the proposal from the Building Inspections Department is to take those 12 categories and actually evolve them into 6 main categories. The structure of the permit fees isn't going to be that much more different, and cost to the customer isn't going to change or modify too much. So with a proposed permit fee structure, we're looking at 6 categories. They'll be very easy to work through as we go forward. If we need to increase any fees in the future, it'll be easy to increase them when they're flat fee structure. And the clients themselves have said that that's what they're looking for as well. Fee comparison chart here, if you look at the dark blue, those are the current fees being replaced by the single light blue colored in the different categories. So as you can see, some fees will go up, some fees will stay down. So it is one of the things that when you combine so many different categories, you have to sort of assume that somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose a little bit. Proposed fee adjustments. So staff have reviewed the fees and compared these with other communities. Many of these communities have adjusted fees in the past year, and we haven't done an adjustment since 2014. So in doing that, one of the fees that we are proposing to change is construction value fees, which are higher in a lot of the other communities, and minimum fees, increasing those as well to compensate for the time it takes to do the inspections. One of the things that came up with one of our larger builders is the hourly rates versus percentage. If we have a builder that does an $80,000 permit and he brings in revisions, he has to pay up to $8,000 for a revision that may only take 2 or 3 hours for our staff to actually look over. We've had some concern from builders from that, saying that's a lot of money for a couple hours work. So we reviewed that based on their input, and we've considered that we would propose going to a $120 an hour fee instead of a 10% permit fee. A lot of the customers will receive a substantial savings on the larger projects when they come in with their revisions. Going back to the permit fee structure, as we change over to the actual permit fee, 6 categories, single-family dwellings will see a savings of approximately $128 a unit. Average increase for duplex will be about $80 a unit, and average townhouse increase will be about $34 a unit. Now the multifamily is the higher volume currently this year. It seems to increase as the economy changes, so there'll be a little bit of revenue received from that as far as from the builders. We've conducted a customer service, satisfaction service with some of our clients, and 96% of the customers expressed support for the single permit fee process. It allows them, again, like I mentioned, to budget for those fees. So if they're bringing in 100 homes, they know exactly what those 100 homes are going to cost them for permits and not have to worry about whether they have to put in a lighting fee or another permit, whether it's post and pad or temporary heat. Consistent permit fees, we asked about trying to localize or take our permit fees and make them more consistent with the other industries out there. 82% of the people we surveyed actually indicated they would be pleased to see a more consistent fee. So rather than having 80 in one category and 100 in another and 20 in another, and et cetera, that those fees would be actually more or less turned into a more consistent fee for the categories that we deal with. Increase in minimum residential fees. Again, we talked about bringing in $80 to $100 increase. We only had 60% of the support from the builders out there for doing that. The reason why is cost recovery. A lot of those permits are accessory permits, and it takes quite a bit of energy to talk to the client, bring it back. They send it back to us. We do the permit reviews. Oftentimes we have to call them for more clarification and then complete the permit reviews and then issue permits and send inspectors out. So $80 isn't a reasonable fee, and we've compared it with other jurisdictions, and they're higher than we are at this point with those fees. Construction cost fees, when I spoke about construction cost fees, $8 per thousand to go into $8.50 a thousand. Again, there are some jurisdictions that are quite a bit higher than us. There are a couple that are lower than us, but to maintain that 50 percentile, we're actually below the 50 percentile in the fee collection category when it comes to the construction cost fee formula that we utilize. Satisfaction with department, again, that was one of the questions we asked for, and from our direct customers, we received an 86.6% customer satisfaction, and that coincides with economic development and what they surveyed earlier this year is they brought us in around 80% satisfaction with our customers. So that's the presentation, Your Worship.
Thank you, Pardy. 86%, that's awesome. Just a question on the 42% and 60% of customers. Was that based on how many people in the industry would have participated in that survey?
Through the chair, Your Worship, we had 10 main clients that we see all the time coming through here that we did the survey through. Those clients do a lot of volume, and some weren't doing as much volume. So we sort of took the big builders, the Vestas and the Madamies and the McKees and Lorec Homes, which are smaller builders, and we included them into that.
And finally from me, so just because of what we're going into next year as far as the market goes, I'm having a tough time with an increase at this time just because of where this market seems to be going. I'm just curious at your end, what are you seeing out there for next year, Parity, as far as, I know I saw your assumptions on revenues for next year, but I'm just curious to see, are you still comfortable though with that? I know that some of these reports are done a month or two ago. Where do you see things going from your department's perspective? You know,
from our department's perspective, Your Worship, I'm not sure what we're going to be seeing. I've talked to some of the builders. They've spoken to reducing some of their builds. I don't know if they're going to reduce much more than they did this year. I think a lot of it's going to go to the multifamily, and so the multifamily is where the energy is going to be going towards. Development permits are coming in probably the first of the year, January, February. So we do have about a dozen development permits, which are not only residential but commercial, that are earmarked for coming in the first part of the year.
How would that compare to last year? Similar or?
Through the chair, Your Worship, it would be similar to what we had at the beginning of the year. As far as going in further in the year, there are some pullbacks with some of the builders. They're not sure of the economy either, so.
Okay, no, clearly spoken. Thank you, Pardy. Alderman Chapman, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair, you spoke to townhouses increasing approximately $34 per unit, duplexes approximately $80 per unit. What happens to a condo complex, a multi-unit, multi-story complex? Townhouse to me is basically 4 units or whatever in a row, ground level. What happens with a condo complex where there's multifamily? Is that considered a townhouse in this type of report?
Through the chair, no, it's not. Multifamily would be considered going to the 8 to 850 per thousand, so it would be based on construction value costs versus the fee schedule that we have, the permit fee schedule that we have.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Pardy? Concerns? The other thing I really like is the fact that you're connecting with our customers and you're making things easier for them to do business with us. So I really appreciate that. One last question was the timing of the online services. Was it, I thought, beginning of 2016, or am I wrong on that time frame, Pardy?
Through the chair, I did speak with the team that's working on that. We did run into some challenges with getting the online service on open before then. So what I'm hearing now is we're going to be running some more tests, or their team is going to be running some more tests in December. And from that, we'll be able to identify whether it's going to be logistically possible to bring it in first of the year.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll start out with Alderman Chapman, please.
Your Worship, if there's no further questions, I'd like to move first reading of bylaw B 52, 2015. And do we have to make 2 separate ones here to amend, Sharon, or can it all be done in one?
If there's an amendment that needs to be made, that needs to be separate, please.
There's no amendment that I'm aware of.
I'm sorry, to
I'm
amend the
sorry.
bylaw, just generally?
B 52, 2015 is to amend. I'm sorry. So
Sorry. Yeah,
first
no,
reading to amend bylaw B 52, 2015, which is a bylaw, to amend B 30, 2008.
Okay, all those in favor? I am going to be opposed, but I will be supporting it at permission for third. So we have Alderman Burley, please.
Second reading, Your Worship.
Thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? 1. Alderman Colson, please.
Permission for third, Your Worship.
All those in favor? It's unanimous. And Alderman Haig, please.
Give third reading, Your Worship.
All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. So just for clarification for the people that aren't, so I could have voted against it and had it come back, but the majority of council has spoken. I don't want to waste administration's time by having this come back on the next agenda. So you can see in the front I wasn't really supportive of the new, but I'm willing to move forward. Sorry, Sharon, go ahead.
If I may just get a last clarification on the vote. Were you in favor of third, Your Worship, or were you opposed to third?
No, I was opposed to third, right?
Thank you.
And then I'm for permission for third. Yes, thank you. I'm sure that didn't make any sense to you guys over there, but that's where we're standing. So from there, can I ask the gentleman who arrived, where are you from? Perfect. Well, I'm going to go back to 6.1 if that's all right with everyone. Parity, thank you very much. Appreciate all the work you put in.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. So introductions, I will ask, we're going to go back to 6.1 and introductions. Alderman Burley, please.
Thank you, Worship. We have Mr. Oshie, the President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity Southern Alberta, and he's going to be providing us an update on what Habitat's doing in Airdrie in the near future.
Thank you very much.
Can I get the correct pronunciation of your name, sir? Garrett, your last name? Oishi, okay. Whenever you're ready, Garrett, and if you could just hit the red button so everybody can hear you. We are live streaming, so you're on the World Wide Web.
Excellent.
Okay, and if you could bring it closer, just I understand sometimes from people watching that if the mic's not close, they can't hear very clearly. So whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to have a chance to share what we're up to with you. The intent of my presentation this evening is just to bring you up to speed on some work that we're going to be doing in your community and give you a chance to ask any questions that you may have about what we're up to. So I have about 10 minutes worth of presentation, and feel free to jump in with any questions. So Habitat for Humanity, many people are familiar with Habitat globally as an organization that focuses on affordable housing and home ownership as a way of alleviating poverty. What many don't realize, though, is that Habitat is actually active in this province. As the CEO for Southern Alberta, we look after all of the province, basically south of Red Deer. We've helped about 200 families in Alberta, Southern Alberta, achieve home ownership. And in terms of who we help, so the families that we work with they tend to be families who are working. They're paying rent that is above what they can afford, and so they find themselves in a place where they're making monthly choices between rent and the dentist, rent and food, rent and winter boots, these sort of things. They basically, they can get by, but they can never get that sort of toehold in life that allows them to really thrive. And so what happens in our model is that when a family partners with Habitat, they will spend about 500 hours working with us, helping to build their home. And then once they take possession of this home, they will pay an interest-free mortgage to Habitat, and then we as Habitat use those proceeds to help us build our next home. So the family, in essence, once they've been stabilized, becomes part of paying it forward and helping us with the next family. So in terms of the model, there we go. So as I just mentioned, essentially these families, when they take title of their home, they pay an interest-free mortgage to us. We then reinvest those proceeds to help us build more homes. And that's part of what's allowing us to build homes for 6 families in your community, in Airdrie. We've built here before. We've built 2 homes in the past, and so we're excited to be back. In terms of the outcomes for these families, once they've been sort of released from that cycle of struggling month to month, we see a lot of terrific things happen with these families. They begin to think about their future. They begin to think about maybe applying for promotions at work. They thrive in the workplace. Their children, because they're not moving, every time there's a rent increase or something happens to their accommodation, because they're staying in one place, they stay in school. The kids' outcomes are significantly better as well. I just put this in, and it's in your package as well to give you a sense. We're going to be building 2 triplexes here in Airdrie, so 3 units per 2 buildings in total. And the location of these buildings is in the community of Ravenswood. And just to give you a sense of our families, so these are 3 families. The ones on my left-hand side are families that are in a duplex that we built in Airdrie. The one mom is a bus driver. She's working, she's a single parent, and her family is thriving in her home. The family on my right, Janice and Tyler, we've only selected one of the 6 Airdrie families so far, so we will be doing a recruitment within the community beginning here in the new year. But the story of Janice and Tyler, we see a lot of stories like this. So this is a couple where they were both working and their family was doing quite well. And then they had a child who was born with a disability. And that disability required mom to give up her job and stay at home, so they went down to being a single income family, and they began to really struggle. So we're excited to have them actually as part of our Habitat Partner Family Group. And then I would just close by sharing that the way that we build our homes is we use volunteer labor and donated materials. We have a lot of companies who give us gift in kind, so they will donate materials to us. And then what we don't get in donations, we will purchase. So we will use volunteer materials and labor to get these homes built, along with the labor of the family. So there's lots of room for people to come and volunteer, and lots of room for companies to come in and get involved with us in different ways if people are interested. That's all I have.
Thanks, Garrett. So probably pertains more to the previous council, but all of us worked on those two houses with those two lovely ladies, and they've been an amazing asset to the community. And it was cool because Lawrence and Linda Ray, who's sort of the visionaries as it relates to Habitat, Corey won the diamond ring the diamond that they have in the glass when she, just after we finished her house, which was kind of exciting. But yeah, there was great initiative, and I just love the spirit of the organization, and it's terrific to see you coming back in the community in a strong way. And what's your expected time frame again for?
We're working to actually break ground hopefully before Christmas, so we'll get the foundations laid, and then we'll be working to complete all 6 units in the next year.
Sorry, but I thought because the families I know, they have to put in quite a bit of sweat equity.
Yes.
So you've only selected, you haven't got all the families selected?
No.
No, okay. So when do you expect to have that?
The recruitment will take place has started now and will take place through January, February.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Alderman Chapman, sorry.
Your Worship, thank you. Yes, I remember clearly it was a fairly chilly day that we were out working on that house over in Bayside. The one question I've always wondered, how long are they required to stay in that house? What happens if something happens and they have to move away? How do they go about selling the house, or who can they sell the house to? What's the ramifications with Habitat with that?
So when a family decides to sell, we have a first right of refusal, so we can buy the house back and then put another Habitat family into that home. And if we choose not to buy it, then the house can be sold on the market. But typically, Habitat will buy the homes back. And we're very, the terrific part about this is that we have many families who they literally just need this hand up. So as they start to stabilize their lives and they do better, there are many families for whom they say, now that I'm doing better, I'd like a house with a garage, or I need more space. We've had another child. So, they have the ability to take the equity that they've saved out of this current house and then apply it to buying a home in the market. And then with the Habitat home that we buy back, we're able to put another family in it and just keep helping people. So, the two homes that we've built in Airdrie already, as well as these 6, these are long-term assets for your community in terms of long-term affordable housing.
Fantastic. Just one more question. So the families, would they be chosen from Airdrie? Is that the key part of it here, is to try to keep local Airdrie residents in Airdrie?
What we try to do is we open it to families, and what we see is that families typically will seek a home in the area that makes sense for them. So likely these will be families who currently reside in Airdrie.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions for Gary? Alderman Burley.
Then I'll just make a motion, Your Worship, that we accept the report for information.
Excellent. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Garrett, and congratulations on your new position. Wish you all the best, and looking forward to council swinging the hammer and getting involved once you start the builds.
Looking forward to having you out.
And I'm sure I can look out there and see 2 gentlemen that will be helping from the community, because they help on everything. They're smiling because it's true. Excellent. Anyway, thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming in a little bit early to get through this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are on item 10, which is no financial positions. Item number 11 is business arising, and looking forward to this presentation. Introductions, Alderman Chapman, please.
Your Worship, if I could invite Kathleen to come forward and speak to us about multifamily recycling opportunities within the city of Airdrie.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. I'm here this evening asking council to incorporate multifamily dwellings into the proposed curbside collection programs so that we can create a common community recycling expectation and create opportunities as well for private recycling contractors. Residential recycling in Airdrie has advanced quite significantly over the past 3 years with the introduction of the curbside organics collection and the resolution that was recently made by council, which was to endorse the recommendation of the Environmental Advisory Board and direct staff to proceed with the curbside program, and as well directing staff to return to council with details of a proposed curbside collection program, taking into account private contractors and investigating ways of incorporating them into the process, such as mandatory multifamily and businesses. Currently, curbside programs do not extend to multifamily dwellings. However, the waste management strategy previously approved by council included an objective to consider diversion opportunities for multifamily and businesses. During public focus groups discussing curbside recycling opportunities, it was mentioned over and over again that the city does not provide equal opportunities for multifamily dwellings and that they are not required to pay the same fee structure. The multifamily strategy has a number of advantages over other options, most notably service by the private sector means more flexibility for the wide variety of multifamily complexes. Buildings can pick a provider that serves their needs, or they can arrange to take their own recycling to a recovery facility. By applying a bylaw universally and removing city services from competition, we are creating a significant new market that should foster healthy competition among multifamily recyclers. The strategy addresses a long-standing concern from many multifamily residents that they are not being given the same treatment as single-family homes. And because the city will not have a role in providing the service, our role in implementing this change will be relatively simple. The multifamily sector is comprised of a variety of housing types, ranging from higher density apartments to lower density structures. And for the purposes of this report, and in the context of multifamily recyclings, we are considering dwellings that do not currently receive curbside collection as multifamily. So in 2010, City of Calgary conducted a waste composition study identifying that about 22% of garbage from the multifamily sector would be materials that would be in a blue box type recycling program. That data would be typical for Airdrie, and that's the data that we use for the purposes of the calculations here. Currently in Airdrie, there are over 4,300 multifamily households that are identified under that, and that represents about 20% of all households in Airdrie. So based on those 4,300 households participating in the program, we conservatively estimate that we'd be able to divert 6,200 metric tons of blue box type recycling. So the proposed program would be the city would mandate that all multifamily dwellings have an on-site recycling program in place, but we would not be prescriptive about how the program would function and who would be contracted. 3 key elements. They would be required to have on-site recycling, ensuring that every building has inadequate recycling options on the premises to make recycling accessible and convenient for their residents. The materials in the program must be the same materials that are accepted in the proposed curbside program. Adequate storage must be provided to allow residents to use the program and not be limited by the size of bins or containers that are provided. Again, mandating recycling service in the multifamily sector will drive competition in the recycling service industry. The residents, along with the building owners and managers, would be free to negotiate costs with a private recycling contractor of their choice, or they could choose to collect the recyclables and use our community recycling depots or the West Side Depot to drop off their items. But the city would not set or collect any fees. The city would provide a period of notice to multifamily dwellings to give both residents and contractors the opportunities to put these programs in place, and the suggestion by staff is 12 to 18 months for that period of notice. Any program that we develop would require an amendment to our current waste and recycling bylaw. Once a bylaw was approved, an effective date would be recommended to allow a year to a year and a half phase-in period to give building owners sufficient time to implement the services that are required under the bylaw. City staff would work with recycling service providers, building owners, managers, and residents to build an awareness and an understanding of the bylaw. After the phase-in period passed, the city would address reports of non-compliance on a case-by-case basis. So with budget approval, this strategy could be initiated in 2016 with a grace period of 12 to 18 months before penalties would come into effect. This allows adequate time for the city to provide education and for the multifamily dwellings to meet the obligations that would be set out in the bylaw by the city. So the city's role would be stakeholder engagement, education, promotion, ongoing monitoring, and enforcement. Buildings need flexibility and choice, and the private sector is best suited to deliver those. Recycling companies could provide collection and processing. The city would not collect the recycling, but would provide support, education, communication, and monitor for compliance. Resourcing for this program has not been considered in the proposed 2016 budget, and an adjustment would be necessary if the decision was made to move forward in 2016. Costs are estimated to be $100,000 for the first year and $50,000 annually thereafter. The community recycling depots is expected to decrease when we go to a curbside program, but the buildings would be allowed to use these CRDs, so we would have to make adjustments to the program if it was necessary. And the East Man Depot needs to remain open for the current programs that are not covered by blue box type items. So council could recommend that we remain at a status quo and not introduce the proposed strategy for multifamily. Could recommend to proceed with a mandatory recycling service for multifamily using private collection services. Or the recommendation could be that the report be tabled and staff directed to return with more information. The recommendation is that council, I forgot EAB. This was taken to EAB, and staff presented this report on November 4th to EAB, and there was a significant discussion. There was a few questions that came out about whether there would be enough private collectors available for the units that we have, but in the end there was unanimous support for the recommendation. So staff's recommendation is that council direct staff to proceed with establishing a mandatory recycling service for multifamily dwellings using private collection services, and staff would return with the details of what that proposed strategy would be, the budget impact, and subsequent bylaw revisions for council's review and approval. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
First of all, congratulations on your Hatfield Award.
Thank you.
Well done. What's compliance look like? Because I'm just thinking, I have a number of questions. Freehold versus like a governance setup where, they pay a maintenance fee as per unit. And then you already have limited parking. Where are you proposing to put the recycling bins and all of that kind of stuff? I'm just curious how all that comes together. And I know that's a lot, Kathleen, but the compliance one was the one that kind of, how do you know whether someone's actually doing it if they're in a 4-story building?
So the manner in which the communities who have a program like this in place monitor it is by the residents calling in and saying, I don't have the services available. That is how it is monitored, and then it is investigated, and we're working with the building owners to provide support for them to put a program into place. When Calgary just did this, that was one of the biggest questions was, well, how are they going to have the room to do it? Well, they already have room for waste, and when you remove the waste that's required, there is ample room for recycling. In 3% only of the buildings in Calgary was there a concern that they didn't have enough room currently to have a program in place. So space has not been an issue.
Okay. Alderman Chapman, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair, Kathleen, if I'm not mistaken, at the meeting of EAB on November 4th, there was 2 opposed. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to go back to the minutes, but I think there was 2 opposed. It did pass, but I do believe there was 2 opposed. I would have to check for sure.
I think that was for the mandatory curbside where there was 2 opposed.
It was for the mandatory curbside, Daryl? Daryl and I were just speaking tonight, because we spoke about mandatory curbside quite some time ago. This was just the last meeting we're at.
I can check that.
If we could, I'm not sure that it was unanimous. I thought there was 2 opposed, so if we could check that. And the other question I had was, have you been in contact with any of the private recyclers since that last environment? I know you've been reaching out to them.
Through the chair, we have reached out. We have not had anybody contact me back.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that part's I'm disappointed about. Any other comments or questions? Alderman Colson, please.
I think it's great that we're taking these steps and that EAB was, whether they were unanimously supported or a majority. So I'm thinking that in a lot of this, it's not lost on me that it's going to be an educational piece basically for the condominiums, which is great because I lived in a condo for 10 years and I didn't understand Calgary tipping fees, the way BFI worked, the way recycling works, how diversion goes, and I can guarantee that probably the majority of our condominiums have no clue. You pay your fees, it's included, so I'm surprised at the cost that it's going to take for the city to implement it. I wouldn't have thought it would be that high, but I'm definitely supportive.
Can you elaborate on the costs, Kathleen, please?
Sorry, I didn't. What the
just
question?
On the cost. She was commenting on the cost. If you can just elaborate.
On
always
the 100,000.
Remember that if there's people watching, that they don't always have a chance to look at our agenda. So, just from your perspective,
the cost for the program. Okay, so the first year was for a person to be specifically designated to go out and work with all of the owners, go around and more communication, having all going and helping them look at where their areas are, what kind of storage is required, meeting with the private recyclers, basically setting up the program and meeting with all of the condo and building owners and being the single resource person for that program. That would only be required for the first year. Once the program is initiated, the amount afterwards would be to sustain the program and have a person available and resources for that program.
No, go ahead,
So through the chair, we're implementing this sooner rather than later so that should the will of council be to implement a curbside program, that they would already be in place and rolling along, correct? Versus waiting until 2017?
The program could be done in advance of or aligned with.
And your recommendation is to do it in advance of any?
It would be.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you know what percentage of our multifamily are condos versus freehold? Because that'll certainly add a lot of time if everyone has to go individually, or one person has to go individually to each one of the residences.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
Okay. So, sorry, Kathleen, just one other question. Was there any thought of going organics first, sort of just, if you're seeing what we've done in the community, it's been effective, it works, we're rolling out now another program. Just curious from your end if there was consideration of looking at organics in that situation. I know when I had an apartment in Vancouver, we recycled. We had it in our little laundry area and we had a blue bin and we took it over to the recycling centers, or at that time it was at Home Depot or one of the different places, I forget. But I'm just curious from your perspective if you considered going green bin first and then rolling everything else out potentially at the same time.
We did. Because of the nature of organics, doing it for a multifamily is far more complicated than a green bin per resident, where the resident can look after it and how long it can sit there. It is in the report that would be the next step for us to look into, but it is far more complicated for a multifamily organics program at this time.
Okay, fair enough. Any other comments for Kathleen? Sorry, Mr. Schultz.
Through your worship, if I may, by way of comment and maybe question to staff, just to clarify more, I guess, number one, what constitutes multifamily? Because we do have some duplex scenarios, side-by-side scenarios that are treated like single family in terms of current organic pickup. That'd be one. And then condo versus rental. And in my mind, the condo type projects we're envisioning would be represented by a condo board, and a contact would be made through the condo board, not each individual condo owner. If you could just comment on that, please.
Through the chair, that would be correct. That would be identified when we came back with our program description.
Through your worship, just the other piece being, because I know we've had this conversation, freehold title, there's some side by side. So to what extent do we already pick up organics, curbside recycle, or yeah, I guess it is like organics, but
organics.
More the freehold title. Can you just break that down a little bit? Who will be treated like single family residents and who will be treated like multifamily?
And just to clarify, it's if we get into curbside recycling.
Your worship and members of council, I think what staff were conveying with this is if there is city collection of garbage and organics, that is considered a single family. It's beyond, for any properties that don't currently receive that service would be subject to what we're labeling as the multifamily recycling options here. So I think typically the city addresses that by utility account. Is one way the city differentiates between where it's a condo association versus a freehold. And in this case, duplexes, if we pick up currently at a duplex, they will be subject to whatever council ultimately approves for single family curbside recycling.
Make this motion.
Okay, and if you could read the motion aloud, that would be terrific. Thank you.
It will be the recommendation of staff. Before I do that, though, it's interesting something you said, Your Worship, when you lived in Vancouver, which was quite a few years ago, in multifamily, you were recycling. So this just, Airdrie is behind. I feel it does need to happen in multifamily dwellings. With that being said, I'd make the motion that the City Council directs staff to proceed with establishing a mandatory recycling service for multifamily dwellings.
Itself be its own private collection agency? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would assume some of the property management companies that govern a lot of our multifamily would probably select the service as a group just to save on dollars. But okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Being none, it's carried unanimously. Sharon. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Lauren. So just because we started a new time, and I noticed some people showing up at 7 o'clock, and there's definitely one of our artists is here. I can tell by the way I know what they designed. I'm certain of it. But I'd like to ask if did anybody come here for the purpose of public question period? Because if you did, I'd give you the opportunity to come forward. If you didn't, it's not a problem, but because I noticed if some of you came at 7, you might have thought our start time was different. We've already gone through that. We start at 6 now. With that, I'd like to ask Mara to come back, because I believe we have one of our artists among us, what I like to call Dino Q, but I know you have another name for it. Whenever you're ready to.
Excellent. Thank you, Your Worship and Council. I have the second place, that's not even my notes, what am I looking at? I have the second place winner of the Eco Art Awards here, Brenna Miller, who created Torque with the barbecue, and I would like to invite her up for a picture with Council to receive her award.
Excellent. And if you'll come up as well, please.
First presentation.
Come on, guys, let's go. Everybody goes. this way, guys. Back up. There's no way to remove the screen, I guess. Congratulations. She's really nervous. Oh, that's your hand. That's my hand. It was supportive of like a whole lot. It's awesome. Thank you. Congratulations. Nice soft hands too. Why don't you, moisturize it. He's got, for an older gentleman, he has wonderfully soft hands. Poor Cheryl. All right, so we've moved past 11.1. We're on number 12, agenda reports, and I'll ask Alderman Burley for introductions. Is everybody okay, or do we need a 5-minute recess? I'm looking right
I know
at you.
you are.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Candace? Sorry, Alderman Coulson. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Worship. We have staff coming forward to present the report on the Nose Creek Park enhancement.
I have to interrupt before you start. Are there any ties issued in the Parks Department?
Your Worship, can you imagine the tie that goes with that shirt, though?
I didn't realize you were allowed to wear jammies to present, but whenever you're ready, you guys. No, it does, Kevin. Magnum PI, yes, definitely.
Ties are
Whenever
safety.
you're ready, gentlemen.
Ties are a safety issue for us. Good evening, everyone. Just coming back to council with regards to our follow-up from the Nose Creek Park Enhancement Phase 2. The issue being that we brought forward Nose Creek Park to do a renovation, redo. Again, to coin my phrases that it was in the paper, we're not bombing it, we're just refreshing it. So apparently that's my key phrase now. So some of the items that we're looking at based on our second set of open houses are to just again enhance the Nose Creek Park. It's a little bit older park. We're not changing it or anything. The intent is to keep it the same as it is. So from our second open houses, two of the key items that were brought up were the washrooms and amphitheaters for existing buildings to be renovated, and a couple of key ones that we are looking at adding are a covered stage and more picnic areas. Covered stage for more of a year-round use than the current stage setup that is there right now. From that, we had a couple of 3 different designs that were set up, and through the online survey and the open houses, we had a 33%, 41%, and 26% on each concept. Concept 1 was 33% of the vote. Concept 2 was 41% of the vote, and concept 3 was 26% of the vote. So just showing, this is what our concepts here. I'm just going to back up one. We are still looking at this one. We are still on our timeline, project timeline, so we are moving along with that nicely. So the differences, excuse me, sorry. The differences of the 3 concepts with, I don't know if you can see my mouse there. So with concept 1, we're looking at a approximate cost of $2.35 million, and the amphitheater is currently in its existing location. We have just twisted it to have an opening this way, where it currently is opening kind of, I don't know if you can see how my mouse is moving or not, that way. So it's opening it up to this area so that we have a little more seating. We have a nice boardwalk that goes in behind it. The idea of that boardwalk is twofold. One for, and it's the same for all of the the concepts. That boardwalk is going to be for fishing in the summertime to sit on the dock kind of thing, and in the wintertime it'll be used for tying your skates up, getting up and skating off onto the dock, and then as well just walking through it. So that was concept one. Concept two, the one that was the unanimous choice for $2.47 million. We've moved the amphitheater further kind of southeast and have it down so that it's a little bit more open. We've created a nice curvilinear boardwalk, again with the same idea for walking in the summer, fishing, skating in the wintertime, tying your skates and getting up and off of that. And then concept number three was our final one, similar to concept two, except we went with more of a rectangular boardwalk and a little bit different design in the amphitheater for a $2.57 million project. Some of the key costs that we're going to have that'll stay the same throughout the three different concepts would be the washroom renovations, which is in this white square down here. And we're looking at some key items are the washrooms for about $460,000. A covered amphitheater with seating is about $1 million roughly. Redoing the concession that is existing in here and taking it out of there, putting in expanded bathrooms and creating a new concession for about $500,000. The boardwalks will be about $370,000, and then $140,000 additional picnic tables and landscaping. And that's the breakdown on the concept price of this one, $2,470,000 is how those numbers that I just listed off there. So what staff is asking for a recommendation is that council endorses concept number 2 of the Nose Creek Park Enhancement Project and directs staff to include the project in the 2016 capital budget at a cost of $2,470,000. And thank you.
Thanks, Scotty. Comments, questions, likes, don't likes? I know some of you have attended the public engagements sessions. Alderman Coulson, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair, we had talked about staging construction and just seeing where we were at with that. Has staff thought about that, or is it cheaper in the long run for us to do the whole thing all at once? Is there cost savings there, or is it possible to have it broken up just to see the temperature of what's happening, I guess, market-wise?
Through the chair. Sorry, I apologize. I'm just coming off of the flu, so I have a little bit of hoarse throat.
Glad you're over there and not over here.
Mexican flu, so it's even better. Yes, we can stage it. However, it would be a little bit more of a cost because of mobilization and demobilization and getting set up for 1 year as opposed to a second year. However, we have looked at phasing it. Two key things that we would, in phasing, that we would like to do would be start with the washroom renovation, and that's based off of the public poll, as well as the additional picnic tables and landscaping. So that would be $460,000 for the washroom renovation and $140,000 for the picnic tables and landscaping.
So what's the life on the existing boardwalk and amphitheater, and what's happening around the pond? Is it kind of, it looks a little beat up sometimes, like maybe it's not going to last too much longer?
Through the chair, yes, it's seen its day sort of thing. It's about a 20, I can't remember exactly, but a 20 to 25-year-old park already. And the boardwalk is heaving, especially when you look at how it ties into the existing amphitheater. There is a significant trip hazard gap, so there is some heave and whatnot between that. So it is something that needs to be looked at sooner than later.
Now, within the renovations, I've asked in the past about security, and I think that you guys weren't here for that one. But security cameras, some live feeds, kind of similar to what we're looking at the other park. Is that going to be worked into this so that we have maybe a less of an incentive for vandalism, especially in the new washrooms?
We haven't, through the chair, we haven't, but if we did, it would probably be similar to what we've done at Chinook Winds. We have the security system set up there, but that is something we can definitely look into.
Yeah, I guess I would just say if we're going to invest $2.4 million into it, that security cameras, in my opinion, is an absolute necessity. Given that I think we're at the point with the washrooms due to vandalism, that's why they look.
Just for clarity, the budget committee, this project was pulled off and put into 2017, pending this meeting, at which time, if the motion was made to go ahead, we would bring that back to council for the overall budget approval, and it would be included.
On the December 6th meeting, yeah. No, absolutely, and I do recall that conversation. So the community engagement piece, so I'm just thinking of, I don't know how many people are going to want to lease the space or use the space, hook up their equipment, play whatever kind of music that they would play on a Sunday afternoon, times of day. What's the residents think? Because obviously you're changing the direction of the sound if you move it to the other end of the water near the totem poles. It'll have an impact on those residents. Has there been any consultation with them? Are they aware of the potential changes and impacts? I'm just curious from your perspective, you guys. I know you've met with, I don't think you've had a ton of people participate, right? It's from the meeting I attended, there was probably more staff and council colleagues there than there was really people from the community coming. And I think and I'm not being unfair for you guys at all, but just didn't seem to be a ton of participation like other initiatives we've had. So I'd be curious on that level, please.
Through the chair. We did, through the first phase, we did have, both phases, I guess, but through the first phase, we had 2 open houses, an online survey. We were also with at the Home and Lifestyle Show. So we did have a good representation of public explaining what we were doing and gathering the information from that, which then created the second phase.
So Scotty, at the Home and Lifestyle Show, we didn't have actual renderings of what could or could not be. I can't recall. Did we have that there?
Through the chair, no, we did not.
Okay.
It was just gathering information.
Please continue. I just was curious.
Okay, yep. So, through those venues, we gathered all the information, then created the 3 options that I had presented. And then we had 2 other open houses at Nose Creek Park and an online survey. So you are correct. There wasn't a ton of people that showed up at the open houses. However, we did have over 100 and some people show up or fill out the online survey. Again, not a large number when you look at our city's population, but I don't know how else we could have gotten more people involved with.
Well, I attend a lot of events at the park, so I don't want to say that I'm not there quite often, but unless there's something outside of the venue of the stage, it's never really that full. Like that whole development scheme, it looks awesome. I'm just hoping that the investment would be worth the community actually coming together and being part of it. I envisioned Calgary Orchestra coming down and doing a Seasons in the Park or something, but I don't know. I just haven't seen a lot of people around that amphitheater unless there's a car show going on and people actually sit there. But I've been to so many runs or events that start there, and it just doesn't seem to be a ton of people utilizing that space for that purpose. And that's the majority of the costs, I would think, would be renovating the amphitheater and changing the layout. It looks awesome, you guys, don't get me wrong. I'm just struggling with the actual benefit to the community. Alderman Hegg and Alderman Chapman, please.
Sure, thanks, Your Worship. I think just in relation to your comment that right now you might see a lack of public participation in terms of actual events other than Festival of Lights and maybe our timber happening because of the facility that is there right now. If it's enhanced and has other opportunities, you change that from an open air dock. What is it right now with a little bit of a couple speakers in there that can be hooked up with a AP system or AV system, sorry, and change it into something that approaches something that can be used for small time presentations and not necessarily concerts, but a band shell type activity. I think you would see increased usage of that space.
Excellent. Thank you. Alderman Chapman.
Your Worship, just to echo Alderman Haig's comments, right now we don't have a cover on that stage, and I know there is musicians that are concerned of having their equipment out there in the rain and inclement weather. I think we could draw some really nice events with a covered stage, whether it just be like somebody says a Philharmonic afternoon in the park. It doesn't have to be evening or anything like that. The one question I have, Have, one of the major things we have in that park every year is the Festival of Lights, obviously. Have you talked to the festival organization with these plans, and what are their, what's their feeling on it?
Through the chair, yes, we've had them involved throughout the whole process. Just as recent, I believe, as a week or two ago, they had contacted our office to get a concept or get a picture of what the concepts were, and showing them that number 2 was the clear winner of our votes and whatnot. But yes, so Festival Lights have been involved. The car show people have been, and all the major users have been involved throughout this process so far.
Fantastic. And any of the construction that was going on, it wouldn't affect, whether it be Culture in the Creek in September, the Festival of Lights through December? Would there be any issues happening with that?
Through the chair, the only potential one that I could see offhand right now that would affect anything would be possibly the car show, just because we were hoping to have it all completed, budget approval and everything. We're hoping to have it all completed for this next summer coming up. So it's ambitious, yes, but we're hoping to do that, as well as my thought, and this may be a surprise, by the way, guys. My thought is to just work in certain areas. So if we are just working on the band shell, we would just have that area closed off so that the park is still accessible. Safety, obviously, it would be an issue, and then if we are working on the washrooms, that area so we wouldn't be closing off the park. So I'm thinking there'd be a bit of project management that we'd have to work with the user groups as well, but hopefully nothing too terribly putting people out. If it is, I would like to say that, small-term pain for long-term gain sort of thing. So if we were to displace them for 1 year, hopefully that wouldn't be the end of the world. Just my thoughts. So.
Thank you. Alderman Coulson.
So my question is a bit more on process. So we see this design, which is great, and what was selected, but Mayor Brown asked about a possibility of a restaurant or rental capabilities in a new concession. We don't see the detail on that. So would you guys be coming back with more detail as far as all of that? And I asked about security and cameras and that kind of thing. Would it be coming back again, or is this it? Is this all we're going to see if it's passed tonight?
Through the chair, this is still very preliminary. We're just trying to establish a budget and get public input. So now that we've got our concept ideas, and if we get budget approval, then we would continue on with working drawings, and then we can present the final project from there.
So it will come back to us?
Yes.
So
if that's what council would like, we can definitely do that.
So as we're sitting here mentioning our ideas and our concerns, you would take that away and come back with other, more detail and maybe some options?
I think Mr. Schultz wants to make a quick comment here.
Okay.
Just through your worship, typically council's role is capital budget, and you would approve this overall project. You often wouldn't see it come back in terms of approval for detail. Certainly we could bring back for information what some of the components are involved as differently, but I just wanted to state up front that typically we would not come back at a detailed stage for a capital project like that.
Yeah, this is the first park enhancement that I've been a part of, so.
Well, I think, in saying that, we had fairly detailed presentations on the arenas and what was coming in phase 3, so I don't think it's unreasonable to have you guys come back once you make final design and just give us a look, and does that work?
As far as security goes and getting those cameras in there, I just don't understand why that isn't worked into this, or it hasn't been a thought. I mean, this is, if we invest these kinds of dollars and upgrade everything, I think that I'm just very surprised.
I would assume having that capability is not that expensive nowadays. I don't see the police chief here, or I don't know if Mark has that information, but it's not that, how much? Just, it's not a huge hit to our budget if it was. Lauren, if you get a minute, thank you.
Your worship, members of council, just a couple of comments I could offer. One is the concept before council this evening has been costed out, and within that is a contingency amount. Certainly our experience is there's obviously, beyond just the standard walls and fixtures, there's always some allowance made within the construction pricing to accommodate things such as security, and I don't think that is a fundamental cost that would change the figures presented to council this evening. So I would offer that comment. With respect to the prospective commercial enterprise in Nose Creek Park, staff could certainly do some additional investigation of that. I know that at the outset, we had approached this from the perspective of Nose Creek as a fairly, intended to be a passive natural park, and I think there was a conscious effort by staff to retain the existing character of the park, and so those types of, if you want to call them intensification of use of the park, were not considered. Certainly one option available to council, should you wish staff to pursue that, is we could work with our corporate properties folks and gauge whether there's a viable business interest. Certainly it would drive other discussions about, I don't know if the city would want to get into front-ending a major capital construction in a public park setting, but we could certainly see what interest there were in the marketplace and see if there were businesses willing to undertake that level of investment for that type of commercial enterprise. I don't know some of the ramifications about park access, intensification, footprint, and so forth.
Parking,
might.
And I was never suggesting us take on that. I was just curious if it was ever out there.
So my understanding through the chair is we had not specifically pursued that just because we had a mindset towards maintaining the existing nature and character of the park and similar levels of usage, minus, as council has noted, some potential additional usage with the band amphitheater and so forth.
I would think with the amphitheater, if it's open, you'd have be a large gathering place for teens and things during the summer months, I would think for sure. Alderman Coulson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one more, because we're not going to be seeing some detailed design. I want to make sure that we're looking at porcelain, plastic, and not prison-issued toilets in the new washrooms. I want to make sure that those toilets are gone and that they'll be replaced with something a little more. I don't even know a polite word at this point to use, but something better than what we have.
We could look at some different designs. However, porcelain does not last in the washrooms.
Okay.
It costs more to replace the washrooms daily on porcelain than it does for the prison style.
So is it going to be replaced with metal?
A use was what we would term that, not prison style. High use washrooms.
Yes.
Because they're not similar to what we have at Chinook.
Pardon me?
They're different than what we have at Chinook.
Yes.
Yes.
We replace those quite often as well.
Okay. So I'm getting a very vague answer at this point. Are the toilets going to remain very similar to what we have currently?
We can definitely look at a new style. But as it sits right now, it would stay at the stainless steel washroom facility.
And you didn't hear anything about that in your consultation with the public?
I believe they kept it the same. That there was nothing that was mentioned at that time when we were talking to the public, no.
Wow, okay.
Men have a different perspective on this urinal situation. Mr. Burley, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Do you have an estimate on how long the construction would actually take, the construction phase of this project?
Through the chair, not off the top of my head, but like I said, we're hoping to get it completed within the year. Hopefully that isn't too ambitious of a timeline, but again, all depending on budget.
Okay. So I'm not sure who has the motion. Alderman Haig.
So just a quick question. So right now as it stands, with everything we've decided, we've put this forward until 2017. So the decisions in terms of amount of possible tax increases or not would assume that this is not included in the 2016 budget, correct?
Can we get clarification, please, Lucy, or Paul, please?
Through worship, this correct. It's currently in 2017, not in 2016. I'm not sure how it's proposed to be funded, so it may not have an impact on the current operating budget.
Sorry, can we confirm that? Thank you, Lucy. I thought it was funded, but I'll wait to hear from Lucy.
Through the chair, I'll just have to use my best recollection. I am, the park, as Mr. Schultz has indicated, was firstly included in the package that was delivered for 2016, and the Council Budget Committee, through our discussions, what happened was that it was then moved to 2017. This particular park, we generally would be funding parks like this through our MSI grant, and I'm pretty sure it was grant funded. As far as impact on your operating budget, what would fall in there is if there's any additional operating costs to maintain this park as you go forward. That would be an effect on your operating budget.
Thank you, Lucy. Deputy Mayor Malik, I believe you have a motion. I don't think there's any more questions. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it is not. It is Alderman Burley. I apologize.
Okay, then, Your Worship, I'll make the council or the staff recommended motion to have staff proceed with establishing sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. My mistake. Ask to endorse Concept Plan 2 and direct staff to include the project in the 2016 capital budget with the cost listed.
Okay, and I did vote against the capital budget that was proposed for a few different reasons. I'm going to have supporting this going into the 2016 capital, but I'm still not certain on my support for the overall budget. But all those in favor of the motion, please. All those opposed? One opposed, Alderman Coulson. And from there, we are moving on to Sharon, please, 13.1. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Your Worship, members of council.
Thanks, Kevin.
You have one piece of correspondence this evening, and it is from Volunteer Airdrie, and they're asking council to proclaim December 1st as Giving Tuesday, and this is in conjunction with a number of communities globally.
Deputy Mayor Bellick, please.
Yes, and I'd like to make the motion to proclaim December 1st as Giving Tuesday in Airdrie.
Excellent. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Any other correspondence, Sharon? Can I have a motion to excuse Alderman Hunter for tonight's meeting? Alderman Haig, please.
So I'd move that Alderman Hunter be excused from tonight's meeting.
Thank you. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Board member reports. We're going to start to my right tonight. Alderman Coulson, please.
Nothing at this time, Your Worship.
Thank you. Alderman Brody, please.
Nothing, Your Worship.
Thank you. Alderman Haig, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I don't think I commented on this last council meeting, but just the progress that is being made on the underpass, of pathway of the McKee Bridge. It's looking great, and I think it's almost ready to be open, pretty close. So look forward to that. It's too bad we will probably see it mostly snow covered, but maybe not.
Excellent. Deputy Mayor Bellick, please.
Thank you, through the chair. I'd like to move that council support the relocation of the Rogers communication antenna to the site that strategic straddles 916 Hamilton Boulevard and 19th Highland Park Way.
And can we include in the motion without making an amendment, if he just does this now, that's in conjunction and working with our community partner, so that they have it on the record that we listened and...
Correct, yes. I'd accept that.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Anything else to report, sir?
Not at this time.
Okay, Alderman Chapman.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair, and this would be to, I'm guessing, Lorne. I had a resident come forward to me regarding Main Street, south, again. Northbound off Main Street, left-hand turn onto Yankee Valley Boulevard. And they have asked why there cannot be a two-lane, why cannot be a double lane there for turning. And I understand the ramifications of you can't have a turning arrow, you can't turn on green, so on and so forth. How much has that been looked at? Because I have been down there and have seen traffic backed up past the entrance to Co-op to turn left. And is it something that can be done, basically, even if it had to be in a short term, just by lane assessment until we get coming over 40th Avenue? I'm just curious about that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Lauren, you okay to talk on that issue? and provide your intimate wisdom.
Your worship and members of the council, there's probably two things I could advise, and one is certainly that because I know that traffic congestion is occurring on that South Main Street segment, in particular since we've gone to traffic signal coordination along Yankee Valley Boulevard, there is less screen time on the main street. So certainly one option that council has is to request a report back from staff, and we would certainly come back with more detailed information on what's been considered and the impacts overall. Separate from that, just the one comment I would make specifically, and if council requests a report, I expect you to see some form of this in there, is that in turning the second lane, or right now the middle lane, into a left turn lane, effectively what would be happening is you would somehow need to delineate that it is only left turning traffic going into that laneway. You could no longer use that right now as a through lane, because with that green time it would isolate the types of movements that could occur there. And so I would just say that's one of the major considerations, is you would have two left turn lanes and one shared through and right turn lane, and that's one of the ways you would overall impact the functioning at that particular intersection. You would also need to hold back all traffic, I guess, on that south leg when that green light was not activated, when that dedicated green light was not activated. But again, should council wish, we could provide a more thorough report back to this council in terms of options considered, or if we did want to move forward in a different manner, what the impacts overall with traffic movements in that area would be.
Go ahead,
Your worship, if I could, I'd like to see a report on that of some sort, because it is something else. And I know that right-hand right-through lane, I come through that just to go straight, and usually there's only one car in there, and a lot of the other cars that are in there are trying to get into the left-hand turn lane. Even the ones that are in the straight-through lane there, they're still trying to get into that left turn lane. And to the point that I've seen numerous cars turn left from that just because they're not going to wait in that lineup. I'd look forward to a report of some sort on that intersection.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion?
Your worship, I will make that motion that there is a traffic assessment done on that.
Or of the more commercial that's being built down there. We've got a potential park and ride. Very much, Lauren. Okay, and I really don't have anything to report at this time, which is a first. Mr. Schultz, if you could give us council follow-up, please.
Through your worship, council follow-ups in your package, I wanted to direct your attention to two items that have been revised. First was Kingsview Industrial Park, in linking some of the explanations on land use and how that would mesh with the new bylaw. So that's why that was pushed to January. The second report was also completed, Taxi Commission Committee, but we thought that that was a result of a citizen coming to public question period, and we knew that particular citizen would not be here this evening, so we pushed that to a meeting that he would be in attendance.
Which he very much appreciates.
Thank you.
But he'll never tell you. Okay, thank you. Any comments for Paul? And I forgot, I have one thing. See, I can't get away. So Dr. Julian Kine, as everyone knows, he's been our urgent care director in Airdrie for the last 8 years. He was instrumental, probably part of the process in getting that building pulled together and providing the services to our community. He was advised by Alberta Health Services that his contract will not be renewed. He's losing our ambulance, our nurse practitioner issue, and others where they make decisions that adversely affect our community and the people who work here. And Dr. Kine, if not for his drive, his excellence as far as showing the rest of us that we can make a difference in our own community as it relates to health, he's been terminated. And I want to let you know that from the mayor's position, I will be fighting Alberta Health Services on this decision. I hope that they reconsider and realize that they should give him an opportunity to at least continue along until he has a succession plan in place. But as we saw the other night, waiting for service for our friend, it was 20 minutes. And when we held our own ambulance service, we would have been here a lot sooner. And certainly with the nurse practitioner, again, it was an arbitrary decision made by Alberta Health Services that directly impacted our community in a negative way, and I'm quite frankly sick and tired of it. So I will be fighting them on this, and I hope they'll reconsider, and I wanted to advise my council colleagues that this was happening, and his termination date is November the 30th of this year. Alderman Haig.
So, Your Worship, in making that statement, that would not necessarily be the position of council, but your own personal position.
That's
So
correct,
we have
yes.
not discussed this.
No, this is my position, absolutely. With that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.